All right, what's good, everybody? Welcome to my trade recap today. Today is August 4th. I took two trades. One was on my eval, which I ended up banking around $1,500 per account. And then another one was on my XFAs on Top Step, which I just took, just got stopped out of. That was a break-even trade. So all in all, a W day today, W Monday. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Here's my thought process for the entire morning. Um, so logging on, right? This, what's it called? This 2 a.m. candle was still fluctuating. So, and then, oh no, this one was closed. We were inside this 4 hour for value gap, but this 6 a.m. candle was still fluctuating. So overall, we are clearly in a bearish trend, right, on the higher time frames. But what do we know about price? Well, price has to move like this, right? So I was anticipating on a retracement up. So I had a pretty neutral bias today. My condition logging on into this morning was this 4 hour for value gap. So if we respected it with this candle right here, I could assume for us to continue lower, possibly towards Asian lows, which were right here. Or there was also, hold on. Or there was also this 1 hour unfilled for value gap. So if we respected it, I can assume price was going there or in Asian lows. Maybe there's liquidity right here, but we ended up disrespecting that 4 hour. We continued higher and higher. What did we tap into? Well, we tapped into this 4 hour for value gap, right? And on the way up, what else did we tap into? Well, we tapped into this 1 hour. And then again, on the way up, what else did we tap into? Well, we tapped into this 15-minute unfilled as well. Both of these 15 minutes, right? So with that being said, we also had EQ above us and then 15-minute highs right here that were relatively cool highs. But as we were ripping up, what did we do? Well, we ended up leaving this 15-minute unfilled right here, right? There was a 5-minute right here. Okay. So after tapping into all these bearish gaps, I was anticipating a retracement into this. So scale down a little bit, see what we end up getting. We get a high put in. Price is just kind of chopping around, right? We get another high put in on the 5-minute. ES actually took out this high. If we go to ES real quick, right? So we have an SMT here. So I was like, okay, we're inside of all these bearish for value gaps. We have an internal SMT. Now I just need to see a lower time frame move. Well, what do we end up getting? Not really shit, right? There's this 3-minute for value gap, but it gets respected. So still nothing. Okay, still nothing yet. And then with this candle right here, we get an inversion. Now, I really didn't like price action that much. This is why I only took it on my eval due to the fact that we were essentially just chopping. But I did like our draws on liquidity. So this was now an unfilled 15-minute right here. We had an unfilled 5-minute, and then we had another unfilled 15-minute right here, right? So we had draws lower along with being in the high time frame bearish fair value gaps. And along with that, we have internal SMTs and we have a double SMT, right? So if we come here to the 5-minute, this 10-15 high does not get swept out. And if we come here, this 10-15 high does get swept out. So here is both of our SMTs. And then on NASDAQ, we end up inverting this 3-minute gap. So if I enter strictly off the inversion, well, my RR would not be as good. And I know with SMTs or inversions, sorry, that price likes to retrace back into the gap. So what do we end up getting? Well, we get a retracement back into the fair value gap. I get wicked into the order right here, right? Stops are at this SMT high, not this one, but the second SMT high. And let's see what price ends up doing, right? Because if these SMTs are valid, then price should continue lower. If they're invalid, then price is most likely going to continue ripping higher towards buy side liquidity. So that's why my stop loss was in that area. My break-even point was right here at these, I think they were 5-minute internal lows. No, just 5-minute liquidity. This would have been the internal low right here on the 5-minute. But just, sorry, I had to fucking breathe. This internal low right here was my break-even point. So what did we end up doing? Well, we danced with my stop loss for a little bit. And then ripped down. What's the next candle do? Doji. All right, we're now break even here on this trade. And next candle, now if you guys trade evals, you know the $1,500 consistency rule. So this is where my $1,500 was. So I didn't have it actually all the way down here at this 15-minute. But what I did have was it right here, which it ended up hitting take profit literally perfectly. The next candle, regardless, went to the 15-minute. And that was it for the first trade. So now let's go on over to the second trade, which was a break even. Yeah, good break even. W break even trade. All right. So moving on over. I'll take the 17 bucks. It is what it is. Okay, I know all these lines might look confusing, but just remember, right, this 1 hour gap, this 4 hour gap, that 15-minute we were in. So what do we end up getting? Well, on the 5-minute, we end up getting an SMT right here. Is this live? Oh, no, I don't want this to be live. Hold on. I took the trade somewhere in here. So we are still inside of this 1 hour for value gap up until this point, right? We were respecting it. As again, we were retracing up. What did we leave? Well, we left this 15-minute unfilled as well. So give me 1 second. Okay, so unfilled 15-minute below us right here, right? I'm not worried about these anymore because price continue higher. But we left this unfilled 15-minute. Let me mark it out for you. So this was now going to be my draw on liquidity. Now, I wanted price to come up and tap into this 1 hour for value gap first before me entering, and I'll mark that in pink for you guys, which it looks like it just ended up doing. And then there was also a 15-minute high right here that I wanted to see price sweep out along with a 15-minute for value gap. So what I wanted to see was price jump up into those, and then we reject out of it. However, price had an internal SMT, right? Here is 12 o'clock. If we go to the 1 minute, these are actually highs, actual highs, right? So 12 o'clock right here. And then you can see, oh my God, if it wants to load. You can see 12 o'clock was not taken out, right? Here is the 12 o'clock high. So an internal SMT. And then what did we get right after that? Well, we had all this trend line liquidity. This is why I took the trade right here. We had all this trend line liquidity, which is all low resistance liquidity, right? We had a unfilled 15-minute. We had an unfilled 5-minute in the same area. Here's our unfilled 5-minute. I don't know what this big ass green thing is. Get this off my screen. And in the same spot as unfilled 5-minute, we had unfilled 15-minute. So with that being said, what did we end up doing? Well, we ended up inversing this 1 minute gap with speed. So I was like, perfect. We got speed running through it. If it hits our take profit area, which is this low down here. Hold on. Let my shit load. My shit fucking takes forever. I don't know why. Oh my God, what is going on? Oh, okay. All right, so we invert it with speed, but again, if I was to enter right here, stops at the SMT highs, right? Take profit at the unfilled 15-minute. Well, yeah, it was a 1 to 1.9, but what am I? I'm a greedy sack of shit, and I really didn't want to be trading this anyway, so I was very, very patient. So what I ended up doing was I ended up setting a limit order at the inversion. Okay, I got tapped in at the inversion. And now look, the R, instead of a 1.19, now it is a 1.3. So that was perfect. I went in for 1 micro and I was only risking about 120 bucks to make about like 5 something. So I like the RR on this trade, and again, I was pretty confident we were going to retrace into that along with all this LRL, sweep out all this liquidity before continuing higher. So what do we end up doing? Well, I almost get stopped out. SMT holds. Break even point is this low right here. Okay. Kind of chopping around a little bit. We continue lower and lower and lower. At this point in time, I'm now break even, right? We are only about 8 points away from the 5-minute and the 15-minute unfilled gap. What do we end up doing though? Again, stops are at break even at this point. Continued lower, and then we ended up retracing up, and I got stopped out at break even. So it wasn't my favorite trade, right? If we tapped into the hourly first, right? If we tapped in up here, maybe sweeping out this liquidity, creating a 15-minute SMT, something like that, I would have liked this trade a lot more. However, I still didn't mind it, right? And it was a great RR on the trade. I liked what I saw, so I went in again, and yeah, that's what we ended up doing. Just one win for the day on the evals, one break even on the XFAs, and if you guys look, I made about $17.2 across 5 accounts on Top Step, which isn't really shit, but better than 0, right? Okay, so that being said, that'll be all for me today. I will catch y'all boys later today. New Beginner's Blueprint is out now. Go check my TikTok at LoeGpa for any updates and insights and all that good stuff. So that being said, you guys have a great day. I will catch y'all boys tomorrow.